Welcome to Pop City Resurrected. I am Melissa Neiderman, and this is my co-host,
Renae Madore.
And today we have our fabulous friend, Garyk Lee, with us for our very first episode. Thanks for being our guinea pig.
Thank you.
I like being a guinea pig.
You do?
Yeah.
You're a man of many trades. This episode is going to be called Reinventing.
Exactly.
And you started out as an actual artist or fashion? What was your...
How far back do you want to go?
Go as far back as maybe crawling out.
As soon as I can remember, literally like 3 years old, I was drawing.
You were?
Yeah,
So that was your creative gene from the get-go.
Mm-hmm. I started drawing. There were probably 4 different categories that I loved, and fashion, drawing houses, drawing floor plans of houses, just creating them. Cars, I love drawing cars.
Right.
Which you're great at.
Yeah, isn't he? I love your perspective is amazing when you do your artwork.
Thanks.
I love it.
Oh, and the detail and everything.
Did you go to school for that?
No.
What did you go? Did you go to college?
Yes.
Well, no. Some people. No, the great thing is the beautiful
How
thing is.
dare you?
No, some people have not gone to college and they're super successful.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
you don't need the 4-year degree
Right.
to have success.
No,
you
you
know?
absolutely do
Right.
not.
And
No, I excelled in my art class in school. You know,
Right.
I was always kind of the top kid in that class. Then in college, I majored in architectural design, but it wasn't just design. It was an engineering school.
oh, that must have been tough.
And it was horrible.
Was it tedious?
Yeah, and the funny thing is, the reason I actually majored in architecture is because I always wanted to be a fashion designer, and growing up in a small town in Oklahoma in the 60s, when I was about 12 years old, I realized, this isn't going over too well. Telling people I wanted to be a dress designer, they
Right.
were called back then.
It wasn't conceivable back then.
Yeah. And I started realizing, this isn't going to work. And I like to draw houses and design houses, so I'll be an architect. So that's what I plan to do.
So that
After
was
3
rough.
years,
You're
I
like, I'm
just
done.
just wanted to jump in and be a designer without going to college.
Right.
And he
And
So-
it happens, absolutely.
And I did. And my mom was modeling in Texas, at Dallas, at the Apparel Mart. And so I convinced her to let me design her wardrobe that she would wear into her jobs. And my mom got all kinds of really good response, and from some pretty important people in Dallas at the Apparel Mart. So I
wonderful.
convinced them to let me just open up a couture salon in Oklahoma City, which was like a big city to me. So we bought an old house, and I converted it into a couture salon, and which was in the front, and then I lived in the back.
Wow.
And I got myself on local television.
That's
and,
fantastic.
So you were in
Outside
the
the box.
fashion business for a while.
when I moved to LA, I wasn't in it immediately. I did all kinds of things to survive.
Ooh, let's hear about those.
Yeah, we want to hear about those. Or what
Take a drink and tell us about those.
what he can talk about. Oh my gosh.
No,
You know what
I-
happens in LA.
Yeah. No,
All right, just tell us you're on the street.
Yeah.
I got an agent, and I did extra work, but like
Did you do
good,
some modeling?
Good extra work, like where there's like 2 or 3 people in the scene, and they're kind of important.
Oh,
So I got
okay.
to do some of that.
Oh,
and-
you
So
mean
paid.
extra
Yeah.
people. Oh,
And I-
Paid extra.
Yeah,
That's great.
I did
Oh,
that,
wow.
and I did some runway when I was younger. I was a dancing model,
Oh,
so they would.
wonderful.
Back then, the disco fashion shows were big. So
really? Oh, that's
So you
Oh, we
did
should
at
bring that
fashion
back.
shows?
yeah, and then I started with a friend doing parties and doing the decor,
Oh,
and
nice.
just kind of fun for simple parties, not huge events. And I got a job to do this big party up in Bel Air. It was a birthday party. I happened to know the gal that was dating the guy, and it was his birthday, and he was a prominent investment banker that I think is now in jail.
We won't name names.
No, but anyway,
I don't want to get in trouble here.
that's where I met Rod Stewart.
Wow.
So
that
what was he like?
He was
cool?
very, very nice, and his first question was, "Did you have a budget? What's your budget? Everybody's got a budget. We all need budgets." And I mean, he was just funny,
I love it.
Great.
Going back to what you originally said this podcast is sort of about, it's people always would ask me, well, why you do so many different things? Why didn't you just focus in one area? And I'm like, as soon as I would focus in one area, then I would be bored.
Right. That's a creative mind, you know.
And
you
need
just
to go
keep
on to
going.
the other, but I always wanted to tie everything together and make it all work together.
Right.
And that's why I always admired a Ralph Lauren or someone that does a whole packaging of a design style and look.
Right.
And
Aside from the clothing, the furniture.
yeah,
and everything.
it's just a whole lifestyle design, and that always turned me on. I really wanted to do that.
Cool. Now we know what turns him on. Just in case anybody asks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, but
Well, I love that you did that. You didn't let
That's wonderful.
somebody put you in a box and say that's
Right.
what you need to do and that's all you can do.
And your parents still encouraged you. I mean, they still.
yeah. Well, you know what happened is because I Oklahoma City, I kind of walked away from that, and my parents now. At that point, they moved overseas to Saudi Arabia, and I would only see them once a year when they'd come into town.
Right.
So now, fast forward 4 years later, my mom's really tired of that lifestyle. And so she spends a summer, a few months away. And she came to LA and rented an apartment in Beverly Hills. And at the time, I had met these two Southern Texas gals at Union Bank in Beverly Hills.
Oh, who might that be? No, not
You
sure.
don't know them.
Oh, somebody we don't know.
Yeah.
What? Oh,
Yeah.
we thought we knew everything
This is
about
like
this guy.
1985.
Okay.
And I ran into them at the bank, and they had just come in from New York City, and there was a hurricane in New York City.
Oh my gosh.
And they were all dressed up, and they turned around and looked at me, and she was very psychic. And she goes, "You're a designer, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, you're going to come work for us."
Oh my gosh.
And that happened in line at the bank teller.
Wow.
I know, isn't that bizarre?
Okay.
Wow,
So
that
then I-
wasn't
sign.
Mercury retrograde then.
No.
If that's not a sign, I mean,
Yeah, I know.
that is.
And that's when
really
I
have
was
to pay attention to
and that's
that.
when
You
I was
do.
really learning that whole thing.
Yeah,
You got to pay
about
attention.
pay attention
You
to
do.
those signs.
You really do.
And so I did. I met with them, and the next thing I knew, we were doing a sportswear line. And I hacked. Oh, this is so funny! I forgot. I actually had 3 samples in the trunk of my car, and you valet in Beverly Hills because there's no parking.
Right.
So we
Yeah.
went down to the subterranean parking, and I opened the trunk, and I had these because I didn't have.
Like New York City. Hey, let me show you.
Yeah.
I didn't have a like a big budget or anything, and I wanted to get back into designing. So I'd gone downtown LA, bought some big sweatshirts.
Oh my
It's the
gosh.
Madonna.
Right.
that look.
Yes.
I love that.
I love
I
that
love
look.
that.
Yes.
So I would cut the sleeve off. This particular one, I cut it at an angle, and there was
So off the
one
shoulder?
sleeve, and then I did jewelry.
Oh
I
my
bought like a
gosh.
jeweled chain
Sure.
in it.
I love
And I
it.
did on this shoulder just a whole bunch of suede. They were real funky wild because that was working back then.
Right.
so they saw that and a couple other things, and they said, well, we just got back from Hong Kong. We're importing the glitter Michael Jackson shoes. Do you remember those?
I remember
do.
those.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Wow.
Yeah.
So they were big time.
Yeah, so they had
Okay.
a big warehouse full of these
Wow.
shoes, and so
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so I did this for a couple years, and my mom comes in, maybe not even a couple years. My mom comes into town and sees that we have a showroom in downtown LA at the Calmart, and we're doing pretty good. So she decides she's bored over there, and she wants to kind of reinvent what we started out doing in Oklahoma City.
I love it.
So she, together we opened the Robertson Boulevard Couture Salon.
That's
was my
fantastic.
favorite thing that I ever did.
Oh.
And that's
And-
where Chris Bennett
That's where you met some
introduced
lifetime
me
friends.
to the store. She
my
she tells the story, and she says it was the one time I had a job for 5 minutes. Her husband was getting annoyed that, you know, with her music, and you need to get a job, and blah 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 blah.
Oh, my
and
gosh.
so she worked for, it's such a small world, Martin Barab, the entertainment attorney. He had the lease on this space.
Oh, that you.
Wow.
Fast forward, your hostess before, Bobby,
Bobby.
Oh
Eats.
yes.
ends up, Bobby and David were next door neighbors to Martin Barab in
Oh.
Beverly Hills.
Gosh, I don't remember you.
I
telling
don't
us
remember
And
that story.
they would hang out all the time together. Yeah,
What
so
a
it's such a
small
small
world.
world.
Now,
Wow,
did you meet
you've
Bobby
known
back-
Bobby a long time.
Did you meet her back then?
No.
Oh, you didn't.
No, I met her in 2012.
Your paths might have crossed and you didn't even know.
Right, I know.
Wow. That's
What I'm going to show you is how professional musicians in the rock, pop, country, everything world talk to each other.
You had. I mean, I guess you wouldn't call it reinventing yourself. You just.
Yeah, I have done
mean,
it a few times
yeah.
because
Well, especially with your-
moving to New York, I gave up after 4 years. I actually started selling to stores and doing really well in Beverly Hills, but everyone said, if you're doing couture, you really need to be
in the city.
in New
Yeah.
York City.
right.
Right.
I had just met Tony, my late husband, that we met in LA at Rage in '85. But
Oh my gosh, we used to go to Rage all the time.
Yeah.
That's so wild.
So we drive across country, and I had already met his mom one time. She had come to West Hollywood and stayed with us, and I fell in love with her. And so now we're staying with her in Brooklyn, and it was a trip. She had a little tiny apartment, and you know, all the family,
Oh my
the New York
gosh.
family.
Oh,
So I'm getting ready for Good Day New York. In the living room, where there's a big mirror with a credenza, and so the relatives all know Tony's in town. So it's like a Seinfeld episode.
Oh my
so
God.
they're all just start pouring in and have a shot, like
Oh
as
my
whatever.
God. That's
and I'm
hilarious.
My
sitting,
kind of people.
I'm
yes.
sitting there literally like, you know, with big rock and roll hair,
Oh my
trying to get
gosh.
my big rock and roll hair happening.
Yes.
And they're all walking in, and I'm meeting them like with a
You're
curling.
curling.
Did you take a shot too?
I did.
Good. You needed that before
I
your
needed
interview.
it. Yeah.
Being in New York, what sparked your interest for California? Was it?
I missed being in California.
All right, so you're back in California, and you're done with your fashion at this point, or no?
I had created the Christopher Reeve event
Right,
happening
okay.
in California, but I was still living in New York. Tony and I
Okay.
were. But we had gotten sick of Manhattan, and we'd moved out to the countryside, to Bucks County. And but we both missed California really badly. So I still had friends and clients there, so I created a fashion show. The Raleigh Film Studios.
Oh, okay.
But it was a charity for Christopher Reeve. Yeah, I always reinvented myself. That's why I started doing art.
So you started the art and
I actually started doing murals in
right.
Bucks County,
All
but then
right.
I did a lot of it when I moved out here. I did some in LA, and I did some here, and just interior finishing on walls like trompe l'oeil.
Right. And you have amazing pieces. I mean, the whole
thank you.
mid-century modern
I love
stuff.
the mid-century modern, yeah.
Love that stuff.
Well, thank you. I enjoy doing it, and it kind of incorporates everything I do, fashion.
Right.
Architect, the
yeah.
whole...
Yeah. Right.
And it's very Palm Springs. It's perfect.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of reinvention, with your collaboration that you both have just done with your book, amazing book. You did the illustration, you wrote the book.
Right. Yep.
So-
Our hummingbird troop.
So I have a question for you, Melissa.
Okay.
What inspired you to do the book? Write the story.
Well, as many people know, because I don't stop talking about it, there was a little girl that needed help with raising money to go to Sloan Kettering for cancer treatment, and I became very close with the family.
Right.
Unfortunately, she passed away, but she had the best spirit, the best attitude. I know she was young, and most kids, are like that, but she was beyond her age, and it hit me really hard.
Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
a very
I remember
difficult-
her. She was the
very
sweetest
difficult time,
little
and I
girl.
still do today. And I needed to do something, and I had started this long ago, and I just didn't have the confidence or the wherewithal to even begin. It started out as a rhyming book, and it got shot down by one of the publishing companies. They said they don't do rhymes anymore.
Oh,
and
my
I'm like,
gosh.
baloney. Meanwhile, all these celebrities are doing. Just tell me you didn't like it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Isn't that
Yeah.
interesting? So I decided to make it more of a story. And my niece had gone through a lot of bullying in high school. And so I just put the two together. And after seeing your artwork that you had started for Teresa and Tristan's book, when you said yes to doing it, it just flowed.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was-
everything
Yeah.
you drew was spot on.
And it was so
there was
beautiful.
never any time I didn't like it.
And it was so beautifully written. When I read it, I was
Yeah.
like, you could just feel it's just
Yeah.
amazing.
And as soon as I read it, the first time I read it, I went through and I said, I know that these places definitely need an illustration, and then
right.
we can fill in between them. But they're such scenes, that
Well,
she
and your
created.
illustrations were so vibrant. So what is your process of, first I know you hand draw it, then what is the process
I draw
of creating
everything
it?
kind of separate. Like I
Okay.
drew the birds separate. I drew trees, leaves,
Okay.
and
The branches.
branches, and
Right.
then it's scanned in and put into Photoshop.
Okay.
And then I sit and direct Soren, my tech guy that's very creative, and I say, okay, put the branch here and bring it closer because we need a close-up, and let's take the bird and move the wing, flip it, so that I'm not repetitively drawing everything. I mean, I wanted it to have more of a commercial look.
Sure.
And
Oh,
then
it's
we can tweak
beautiful.
the color and bring it up really
Oh, the colors.
vibrant.
Let's show them the book. It's just amazing. The colors are so
The
vibrant
colors are gorgeous. Matches what we're all
and
wearing
beautiful.
today.
Oh, exactly.
Yes, I love that we decided to go with the large fonts.
Right.
Perfect.
for grandparents to read.
It truly is an amazing
But,
book.
yeah, it's so beautiful, and of course you can find it on Amazon. You're kind of like Garyk with what do you the
Creative
Jill
mind.
of all
Jill of all
Yeah.
trades.
with your
Yeah.
creativity.
Jill
We
of all
are.
trades.
I know I'm wearing, and I know Garrick's wearing a lot of. What?
Oh, so am
what
I.
why did you start going into the jewelry though?
Well, that's interesting that happened because, like yourself, I was a teacher, and I taught for 14 years, I think it was, and then I just lost the passion. I needed something new.
hear ya, yeah.
Like Garyk, it's like I have that creative mind. I got to keep going, doing different things, and I had visited a friend of mine in LA, and she had this beautiful necklace. I said, "Where did you get that necklace?" She's like, "I made it." I'm like, "You made it? What?" So she says, "Yeah, we go downtown LA. We go to not the garment district, but the jewelry district." She goes, "Let's go." And I said, "Okay." I was a kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
I mean, they had strands of beads just
Was
everywhere.
your mind going crazy? Like, oh, I know what
Crazy.
to do this, what to do that.
Crazy. And then I
Wow.
saw Christina Ferrari, remember her?
Yes.
Yeah.
She was there buying stones. I said, that woman's going to make her own line and put it on QVC.
Oh, jeez.
She was there with her daughter shopping for stones. I was
wow.
like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So then I started making my own jewelry, wearing it to, you know how we have events with the teaching, you know,
Yep.
we have to get all dressed up. And one of the parents came up to me and she says, I love your necklace. And then several of them did. And the green light went on. I was like, ooh, I
Well, I
need
can
to
sell this.
I can
Right.
sell this stuff. And out of the trunk of my car after school, I'd have mothers coming, looking at all
Oh,
my
you
jewelry.
did too?
Yes, and buying stuff. It was very interesting. And I love it. It's a passion. If I make money, great. If I don't, it's fun. I
Yeah.
enjoy it. It's therapeutic.
I was just going
for
to
me.
say that
Yeah,
probably helped you out a lot.
absolutely.
And then,
It's been
but
great.
you have had Cindy Crawford wear one of your
Yes.
pieces. How did that
Yeah.
come about?
I was actually another thing that I've done. I was a liaison in the art world with for a dear friend of mine, Denise Weiss, and her husband. They owned an art gallery in Beverly Hills. It was a benefit here in Palm Springs. It was for Desert A's Project, and it was the Steve Chase Awards.
Okay.
And they were honoring Cindy Crawford.
Oh.
So I told my girlfriend Denise that I had to help out with the event. I said, I want to make a necklace for her. Is there any way I can get it to her? She goes, done. We'll get it. So she talked to the head guy of the Steve Chase. He goes, sure. He goes, when she gets here, we'll take you back to the green room and we'll introduce you. And I didn't think it was going to happen. You know, I was busy talking about the art and stuff. And then sure enough, he comes over and he says, Cindy's here with her husband. Come on back. So I showed up in the green room and told her I had a piece for her, and she was so delighted. She's like, "You made that for
Oh,
me?"
really?
So she was super sweet. Yeah,
And we're doing a
Yes.
a
some-
collection. Yes.
Yeah, we're
When you
some
mentioned that
one-of-a-kind.
about your sweatshirt,
Yeah.
I thought of that
I
too.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing some one of a kind bamboo hand painted with Renee's beautiful jewels as the halter neck piece holding them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, summer.
It's exciting.
If you want to know more about Garyk and to see some of his work, go to
GarykLee.com.
And then for your jewelry, you're basically social media, right?
Social media. You can go to @RM Inspired Designs on Instagram, and then RM Inspired Designs on Facebook. But I will start my own website through Google, but it won't have pieces to sell, but it'll showcase what I've done.
Oh, that's good. And
So
then
then
they can
people
just
can
contact.
order. Yeah,
Okay.
contact
cool.
me.
Thank you so much for being
Yes.
a part
Thank
of our
you.
It was a
reinvention.
I enjoyed
pleasure to
it.
have you.
Yeah,
It
it
always
was-
Yes.
is. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I'm honored that I was your guinea pigs.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow. Well, cheers.
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 Thanks, you guys. And let's try to stay cool.
Cheers. Yes.
Here we are, Pop City with Renae and Melissa. We'll see you
Till
next
next
time.
time.